Welcome back to our newest installment, and in this tutorial we're going to basically wrap up this introductory session and look at how to delete information. In the first three parts of this series we looked at logging in, setting up a budget, setting up lines, setting up sublines. In the last segment, in the prior segment, we looked at how to enter information into a budget, and basically the information is entered into the sublines on the roll frequency, and the roll happens to give a periodic opportunity to input information on the income or the expenditure side of the budget. And so we looked at that in the last segment. In this final segment, as I said, we're going to look at how to delete information from a budget and see what that's all about. Now, what I've done is I'd already created a test budget from before we started this series, wherein we already had a budget set up here. So I'm going to go into that test budget. I'm just going to double click on it, and you'll see here this is what we saw the last time. That is by double clicking. Actually, we were looking at our 2012 budget the last time, but now I'm looking at our this test budget here, and this is how we get to the point where we can enter information into a budget. But we don't want to enter information today. What we want to do is delete, let's say change the structure of a budget. So I'm just going to cancel this, and I'm going to go back over here to admin, budget, modify budget, and I'm going to select our test budget, double click there, and you can see here that I already have some lines and on both sides of the budget here. So I'm just going to, for instance, remove this particular expenditure. When I click the minus there, that actually deletes that line. Now, the key thing about CloudCount is that one, it's a passive system, meaning it doesn't keep the user up to date as information is changed if you are logged on to another system. It's passive in that sense, meaning you have to refresh your budget in order to have it persist and to get the latest information. So although I deleted this line here on the expenditure side, it still exists, if you will, in the cloud. So to make that persist permanently, I need to save that out, and then of course it persisted on the machine, on the local machine here, but by doing save there, it pushed those changes into the cloud, and so I can come back here and you can see here that's gone there. I could delete that line there and do the same here, and I'm going to save that out. Yep. And if I go back in one more time, you could see I still have my information stored here as I had left it before. Now, if you that just deletes individual lines. I'm going to save this out here, and I'm going to go in to modify our other budget, the one that we created from the start of this series. And you may recall, right, that we had two lines in here. So I'm going to open up. I'm sorry, two sublines here. So I'm going to open up that line. I'm going to delete that particular subline, and it works pretty much the same way. As you can tell here, it's just using these plus and minus buttons here, and of course that happens to be a bug there, that that should not have happened. But when this does happen, basically, if we cancel out here and then save this, right, that told us that that failed to there again. But if we go back in here, you can see here that well, let's go in there. You can see that that subline is gone as well as that line. So that's a bug in the system that we're actually working on to clean that, to fix that. It's not reporting properly. It's not committing the changes properly there, and that's something that we're working on as we speak. But otherwise, that is pretty much it as far as deleting lines and sublines. Of course, we could also delete a whole budget itself. So let's close this out here. Rather than modifying budgets, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to delete a budget. And I'm going to delete my draft budget that I had created there. So it's prompting me, do I want to delete that budget? Yep, let's go ahead and delete it. And you could see there it removed it. So if I close this, it's still showing up here on my dashboard, but if I refresh this, you see it's gone now. So that's pretty much the quick introduction to CloudCount. And in the future we will have more tutorials on different aspects of CloudCounts. For instance, how to use the attachments, and more on the audit trail, and potentially other things that you can do with the CloudCount, such as we mentioned here, but we won't talk about export, import, printing, the various tools, which are pretty self-explanatory, but we will cover those in subsequent tutorials. Until then, enjoy CloudCount and hope to speak to you again soon. Bye-bye.